Greetings and salutations, DMs, GMs, referees, judges, game operations directors, and all of the varieties of storytellers. This is your DM, Bill, and it's time for another Monster in Minutes. This week, we're talking about shadows. So where can you find them? You can find the shadows on page 269 of the Monsters Manual. Now, shadows are only a CR 1/2 monster, and while this may appear to be a weak and ineffective, once you really delve into the shadow stats and abilities, you find that the opposite is true. They're actually extremely potent monsters, if used effectively. Let's have a look under the hood, shall we? The first thing we notice about a shadow is its stealth skill. They got a +4 to stealth. Now this becomes a +6 in dim light or darkness and makes them virtually impossible to see in the dark. This makes a shadow an optimal ambush predator. They have dark vision up to 60 feet and passive perception of 10. They have a host of resistances, among them being acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. They're immune to necrotic damage and poison, but they do have a vulnerability to radiant magic. Just the resistances and immunities alone make them extremely challenging for a low-level party, and I dare say, with the proper DM at the helm, they could be quite deadly even for a high-level party. These monsters are amorphous. They can move through tiny spaces without squeezing, and while in dim light or dark, they can hide as a bonus action. They do have sunlight weakness, which grants them a disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks and saving throws, but what DM in their right mind is going to use a shadow in broad daylight? Here's where the shadow really becomes scary. Their strength drain ability deals 2d6 plus 2 necrotic damage, and the target's strength score is reduced by 1d4. They get a +4 to hit with this attack. Once the victim's strength hits 0, they die automatically. Now, if this target happens to be a non-evil humanoid, and they die from the strength drain attack, the new shadow rises from the corpse in 1d4 hours. This, I believe, is what makes them particularly frightening monster, especially with such a low CR. The Monster Manual says that the shadow is an undead creature that resembles the dark exaggeration of a humanoid shadow. It looks like a shadow cast by you or I, but there is something different about it, something sinister, something unusual. They have no features. There is no discernible mouth, nose, or ears, just a vague outline of their host body. These monsters live by feeding on the life energy of living things. They have no preference as to what living thing that is that they drain energy from, but they are drawn by individuals who are unattainted by weakness and evil. This is their preferred prey. Perhaps the taste of goodness, righteousness, and virtue is sweeter than that of evil. Now, how do you use them? They can be very threatening. Consider this. A shadow gets loose in a city. Just one. Over the course of one evening, how much damage to the population of the city do you think that one shadow can do? How many individuals, common people, do you think the shadow could transform into other shadows over the course of this one evening? A staggering number. Put a group of weary adventurers in a tavern for the evening in a city where one single shadow is running loose, and you have the makings for a wonderful scenario. Escaping the city where the population is quite rapidly being transformed in shadows? Surviving the bedlam that is no doubt going to ensue? The population of the city has the potential to be just as dangerous as the shadows that are transforming these individuals every night. In a 10-hour span, you could possibly have over 1,000 shadows on the loose. There's a lot of ways you can use a shadow in your campaign, and this is just one. And that's this week's Monster in a Minute featuring the Shadow.